What is going on, everyone? My name is the California Cougar, and today I'm back. It is Wednesday. That means it's time for another Survivor season review. So yes, we're going to be continuing the series today, and today we're going to be reviewing Survivor the Australian Outback, the second season of the show and the most watched season of the show. So I'm just going to get into it right away and talk about what I loved about it, what I didn't like as much about it, and whether or not I think it was a good season. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So Survivor the Australian Outback. First of all, this is the most watched season, and I gotta say, it's the most watched season for a very good reason. It's also my most rewatched season, at least of the older 10 seasons. Because of the first 10 seasons, this season is hands down my favorite season of those first 10. Yes, I think it improves on Borneo significantly. I think it's significantly better. It's got a better cast. It has more memorable moments. If you thought Borneo was groundbreaking for Survivor, with this season, Survivor just took off like a 747 on a long flight, on a big long-haul flight. And I like to think that this season is the reason why Survivor is still going on today. First of all, let's talk about the cast. There's just so many people. 8 people of the 16 have been brought back for a second season. Several have been brought back for a third season, and there's a good reason why. Even some of the post-merge, even some of the people that haven't come back, some of the post-merge boots, some of the pre-merge boots, even those that haven't come back, iconic. You have Deb, one of the most memorable first boots. She goes crazy with, rocks and whatnot. You have Kel, known for sneaking beef jerky onto the show. Or getting caught with beef jerky. They never confirmed that, but, yeah. Kel, super memorable. You have Mad Dog. She was crazy. You have Mitchell, the first ever tie vote, not in the Final Four. At least I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was the first, first ever tie vote outside of the Final Four. And, they had to make a rule to where, if you couldn't, you had to re-vote, and it was still tied on the re-vote. It's the first time that's ever happened. Yeah, where nobody flipped their vote. Mitchell, who gets one stray vote from Keith. Keith essentially saved himself with that one vote, because he was the other one that was going to be, that got votes. So, yeah, just a random stray vote from Keith, and Mitchell goes home. Screws up his whole game. You have Kimmy, who was later brought back for Cambodia. And then you have Mike Skupin, known for falling in the fire, which we'll talk about when we get to moments. And then after that, you merge. You have Jeff Varner. He's come back a couple times. He's the only one that's played 3 times and not made the jury, I believe. Pretty sad, but what can I say? He did kind of get screwed this season, though. At least he made the merge this season. Alicia, one of the fiercest competitors ever. Let's see, who else is there? There's a lot of other people. Jerry, the first ever true Survivor blindside. She never saw that coming. You have, who finished 7th? Nick, I can't believe Nick hasn't come back. He was a memorable character. Amber. Look where Amber is now. Married to Boston Rob and playing on Winners at War. You have Roger, who used religion in the right way. Oh, we'll get to a season later that did not use religion in the right way at all. But yeah, he did bring religion into the game, but he used it in the right way. Elizabeth, a fierce young girl who competed really well. Keith, he was dumb, but he was memorable. And then, of course, Colby and Tina, one of the most memorable Final 2s ever. Colby, a guy who was made for Survivor. The first male challenge beast in Survivor history. He wins almost every challenge. He goes on a reward at a ranch, which was a reward made for him because he's a cowboy. He won a car. He got to see his mother. And then, of course, you have Tina, the mom that beats Colby in the end because Colby decides to make a hero move instead of taking the unlikable Keith, who nobody liked. He takes Tina, who's a lot more likable, and she ends up winning. So, yeah, this cast is insane. As for moments, there's so many moments as well. Like I said earlier, Mike Skupin falling in the fire. That was the first medical evacuation in Survivor history. You have Kimmy and Alicia fighting over chickens. You have Kel with the beef jerky. You have Mitchell in the tie vote, getting that straight vote. You have Jeff Varner stepping off a challenge for peanut butter. I mean, and that same challenge, 10 hours. I believe it's the second longest challenge in Survivor history, at least in the American version. But yes, 10 hours this challenge lasts. Can you imagine just standing out on a wooden pole or a wooden perch for 10 hours, only occasionally being tempted with food? I mean, I believe the peanut butter that Jeff Varner stepped off for, I believe that was 4 hours in. 4 hours. And then I think it was Amber and Jerry that stepped off about 7 hours in for ice cream and hot chocolate or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but ice cream was involved. And then you also have Alicia and Tina stepping off for coffee and hot chocolate and a boat ride in. Like, over 10 hours into the challenge. Like, oh man, that challenge was so memorable. So many great moments in that challenge. Elizabeth getting tired after 9 hours. But, yeah, like, keep your mouth shut, Elizabeth. All that good stuff. And then you have the challenge where you're, like, clipping and, like, making squares. The one, I think, did Keith win that? Was it Keith that won that? I don't remember. But, yeah, it was Keith or Tina, I think. You have the gross food eating challenge where Tina and Kimmy can't get stuff down. And they had apples and candy bars in that challenge as well. And, of course, the very first Survivor auction. I wish they would bring the Survivor auction back. Just, like, say at the beginning, either there's going to be no advantage in the game or the advantage in the game is going to be covered. Or just, like, yeah. Because that's all the auction is now. That's why it ended in the first place. People just keep holding out for an advantage in the game. But I wish they would bring it back. Like, the auction items were so small, too. 4 Doritos, 6 French fries. Like, not even big French fries either. Just tiny French fries. Mountain Dew, pretzels. You have a small cheeseburger, a piece of pizza. Just so many items in this auction. You have, and of course, the flood. How can you forget about the flood? Like, yeah, it just washes away their entire camp. Colby has to give up his Texas flag for the remainder of the season to get rice. Yeah, and then once they get that new rice, a flood comes in, washes away their camp, all their fishing hooks, and the can of rice. And like Keith has to traverse across a raging river to get that can of rice. Like, how do you forget about that? And like I said, Colby was away for that. He was on the ranch reward, which, again, a reward made for him. And then the final immunity challenge where Colby wins and he takes Tina. You also have the cliff jumping challenge at the beginning of the game where Roger's afraid to jump off a giant cliff. Luckily they do, but by that time it's too late. And the challenge where they're holding water buckets on either side of them, Colby and Mike Skupin battling that out. There's just so many moments in this challenge. Oh yeah, and Keith proposing to his girlfriend over like messaging on a computer. Like that was awesome. There's just so many memorable, amazing moments in the season. Oh yeah, and Jerry and Amber, like with the boomerang challenge and like their whole like a lot of people talk about Jenna and Heidi. Jerry and Amber were the original like female power couple. And of course Jerry and Colby, how can you forget about that? And their date to the Great Barrier Reef, like kind of an awkward date. Hershey Bar, oh man, just so many moments in this season. How can you not love this season? Ogakor, one of my favorite tribes of all time. Kucha's great as well. Barramundi, like that's the name of the merge tribe. And yes, there are some negatives I do have with the season. The only real negative I have with this season is the fact that it can get predictable at times, especially when it comes down to the final 5. I do think the Alicia and the Nick boots were both kind of predictable, but other than that, like this season's a masterpiece. it really is a masterpiece. It's one of my top 5 favorite seasons in the series. It's so amazing. I can watch it all day. Like, I want to rewatch this season again just because of how iconic it is. So many great moments. It's unfortunate that Colby did lose, but it's not like Tina wasn't a deserving player, because Tina was a great player. She was the more strategic of the two, I would say. Colby was strategic, but he was more the physical competitor, while Tina was more strategic. This is where Survivor strategy really kicked off and just became the blueprint for how survivors play today, combined with making an alliance in season 1. There were no bitter jurors either, which is always nice. Even though it might seem like the jury was a little bit more bitter because Colby should have won, but honestly, I got no problem with Tina winning. Tina was a great winner, a great player overall. Just the flood. There were wildfires this season too. They had to deal with wildfires, smoke from wildfires. And Mike scooping catching a pig. How can I forget about that? But yeah, overall, Survivor the Australian Outback is an amazing season. It's my most rewatched season to date. It's one of my favorites. I wish Survivor would go back to being like this. I really wish it would. And go back to a location like this. The location, Australian Outback. They've only been to Australia once. Come on, let's go to Australia again. Enough with this Fiji crap that we see every year. Come on. But Australia is such a great location. They're on a riverbed, and the riverbed floods. We don't see things like this in Survivor anymore. There's just so many great aspects to this season. It's an unforgettable season where while the hero does lose, a guy that's made for Survivor, he has become an iconic character throughout. And his whole feud with Jerry and all that, and Roger and Elizabeth's relationship, the father-daughter type thing that they had going on, that was awesome as well. So yeah, Survivor the Australian Outback is one of the best seasons in the series in my eyes, and without question, this season is a 10 out of 10. So there's my review of Survivor the Australian Outback, one of the most memorable seasons in the show's history in my eyes. I wish more Survivor seasons were like this. It's unfortunate that we don't see moments like this anymore. We don't see locations like this anymore. Just so many great moments. One of the best casts to ever be on the show. All the relationships, the storylines, all that good stuff. So much going for this season. Without question, it deserves a 10 out of 10. This season is a masterpiece. So there's my review of Survivor the Australian Outback. What did you think about it if you have watched the entire season? Let me know down in the comments below. Do you love this season? Do you not like this season for some reason? Do you even hate this season? Let me know down in the comments below what you think of it, and where would it be on your Survivor rankings. Like I said, it's one of my top 5 personally. It's just so good. So good. So yes, make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this review, and make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Make sure to check out my playlist of Survivor season reviews. Check out Survivor Borneo season review. I'll have that up here in the end screen, and then the playlist will be down here. And make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until the next video, once again, my name is the California Cougar, and always remember to stay California cool. Peace.